Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the Spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
I know what you're thinking. Really? What more is there to talk about Kris Tyson and Mr. Beast? And the thing is, I actually had a video on my docket that was going to be talking about Mr. Beast, KSI, and Logan Paul with their Lunchly, their whole Lunchly thing, the scandal, quote unquote, where I was actually going to come out on their side. And the thing is, I don't think Lunchly is a big deal at all. I think that people are overreacting. It's ridiculous. There are generic store brand versions of Lunchables that you can get right now that are lower quality than Lunchables. So I didn't think that was really a big deal. But this story is obliterating that one from orbit, because what we have today is Kris Tyson being exposed yet again as, what more could I show you that this person is a disgusting, degenerate pervert? Well, actually, there is something that has come out, and understand that at this point, it's pretty much confirmed, but I'm going to say allegedly for the sake of, for the sake of things, because new information could come out, and it could be totally proven to be bunk, because as we're getting in new information, that's how these things go. But based on the history, based on the way that this person has operated in the past, I think that there is enough legitimacy to talk about it and discuss it. So, what am I bringing up? Well, on Drum Alert, Kris Tyson allegedly sent a revealing photo of a 13-year-old Ivanka Trump to Mr. Beast's alleged work group chat, according to Rosanna and Dogpack. Now, I think that it's very, very interesting what you're about to see, in the worst way. In the absolute worst way. And apparently, there are going to be more leaks coming out.
We're going to get to the messages, starting with this sexually explicit photo of an alleged 13-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this isn't a work chat.
So Ava Tyson sends a photo of a young-looking girl in a sheer top.
Ivanka Trump when she was 13.
Yeah, and the message reads, so this photo is allegedly of Ivanka Trump when she was 13. Ava thought that this was possibly a 13-year-old, and she's posting it in a work chat. And then I've done a reverse image search, and it seems plausible that it is.
Why would you ever send somebody a picture of a 13-year-old topless?
We're going to get to the messages, starting with the sexually explicit.
Well, that is a very good question. Here's another question. What, look, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not excusing this. But my question is, why would you do it on somebody's work account? It's wrong in its own right. But you're sending it to their work account? What? Are you crazy? Oh my gosh. It's like the more that we learn about these people, and all of this, by the way, all of this is originated from the fact that this person came out to transition, which, by the way, if you want to know my opinion, I think transgenderism is a mental illness that has with it a lot of really more sinister and nefarious and degenerate things attached with it. Because it's not a coincidence that Keffels and Ava Kris Tyson are both transgenders. There is something about it. There is something about that mental illness and that degeneracy and that debasement and that sort of delusion that, oh, I'm in a different body. There's something about that we really should be treating with a lot more compassion, like it's an actual mental illness, because it is. It should not ever be confirmed or affirmed. It should not ever be confirmed by a doctor. Oh no, you are definitely the opposite. No, it shouldn't be affirmed or confirmed. It should be treated and diagnosed. And I think that these people need our sympathy and our compassion, because ultimately, if we allow this sort of stuff to go on, we see underneath the surface that there's a lot of the sick stuff that has been bubbling for a long time. So here we have another video.
June of 2021, he sends a message of an anime called Higihiro. It says, "I bet Kris would love this show." Why?
What's this show about?
Well, it's interesting that you ask, because this show is about a romantic relationship between a 26-year-old salaryman and a 17-year-old high school runaway. It's well known online to be a controversial anime. And this anime is based on even more explicit novels that go into the details of
this is nothing.
Relationship between adult.
This is nothing, unless there's more.
So Jimmy in the chats is saying, "I bet Kris would love this show because it's right up her alley."
Why do you think Kris would love that show, Jimmy?
Why specifically this anime out of all?
Okay, I think this is completely a non-thing. I've actually seen that anime. I've actually seen it, and it's pretty damn good. I would recommend it to people. Is it controversial? So, in a context, yes, because the whole tension about the story is the fact that the girl comes from a background. It's not great. She had a guy who was a boyfriend who was abusive and stuff. Didn't have a great family life, and so she's basically running away from home. And if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I've seen it, I think that she was basically planning to prostitute herself to get money, and so she was basically at the lowest point, and the salaryman, this guy finds her on the street, like given up, and I think she like propositions him or something, and he takes her home. But he doesn't take her home to sleep with her. He takes her home because the overriding feeling, he can relate to her, because the girl that he really liked basically broke his heart. So he really wants to save this girl. So it's an interesting thing. I would recommend the anime, not to just anyone, but I would recommend it to somebody who wants a deep and thought-provoking story. Because it is. It isn't just like, oh, there's a 17-year-old. No, there's a lot of stuff. And the guy helps her a lot in that particular anime. The guy helps her a lot. Because every time it's sort of like Black Snake Moan. You remember that movie with Samuel L. Jackson and Christina Ricci? Where she's like trying to, it's not to that degree, because she does still have like a bit of normalcy about her, but she's willing to, like use her body to pay rent and stuff, because she's pretty much given up. And the guy throughout the thing is teaching her self-worth. So I don't think that's any sort of gotcha. I think that this is ridiculous. It makes these two look really bad, if I'm being honest. Now, if I hadn't seen the anime and I heard the premise, I may have a different perspective. But as somebody who's actually watched it from start to finish, it was a great show. And the guy did more to help her than anyone else, and he defended her when her ex-boyfriend came around and stuff. So, I mean, apparently the boyfriend had allowed her to stay with him, and he was exploiting her for sexual favors. And so like this guy comes along and she's expecting the same thing, and he treats her well, teaches her to value herself. So I think these people are talking out their ass. I think they're just looking for for some sort of drama. Now, this other thing, I think has legs to stand on, but here's the problem. When you come out with something like this, and there's some, there's a little bit of evidence, and you can start to flush this out. This thing here just completely obliterates it. Because your credibility is in question. If you are looking at leaked images or leaked conversations and somebody's recommending an anime and saying, hey, I think that this person would like this anime, and you're using that to try to discredit them, it's sort of like the people that go after Trump for the most frivolous, ridiculous things. If you think Trump is Hitler and Mussolini, why do you have to make things up or exaggerate things to try to get him? There's no reason to make this sort of leap. That's what I'm saying. Oh man, I got to do a video on this. I got to do a video on Trump going on Twitter and saying that he's going to fix McDonald's ice cream machines. But anyway, yeah, it's just, you discredit yourself when you start going into that stuff. Like, why would they recommend the anime? Because the anime is good. It's a good anime with good animation. It's a good story. It's actually far more wholesome than the premise would allow. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking controversial or touchy subjects and doing a video on it. Now, if it were complete and total exploitation and it were like some kind of, grotesquely sexual thing where the message is bad, if it was like a metamorphosis type of thing, I would be completely and totally against it. But I thought that the story was actually good. And at the end of the day, I think, if I remember correctly, it had sort of a happy ending. And not the type of happy ending that Kris Tyson, is more comfortable with. It's a wholesome ending, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's getting tiresome at this point to talk about all the things that were going on behind the scenes. And I'm all for sticking by your friend. I think loyalty is important, but not to that degree. And what I mean by that is, you don't just in private allow your friend to continue to go on doing what they're doing. That's where you have an intervention. I'm not saying that you got to publicly blast your friend, but if you got somebody around you and they're a pervert and they're a weirdo and they're engaging in all this degenerate shit, you got to sit them down and have a talk with them. And you got to be like, you got to cut that shit out. You can't be sending this stuff on our work on our work emails. You can't be sending it to our work stuff. And even if it's not on our work stuff, you can't be sending that. Like, that's where a boss and a leader comes in and has a tough conversation. Like, we can't be doing this. Like, we can't. Like, no more. Like, for me personally, if you were to ever send me a picture of a 13-year-old that isn't this cool, it's Ivanka Trump, I would fire you immediately. Immediately. I don't care who you are. You have tainted our brand and our reputation by doing that, even if it's a private message. You've hurt the business. Because in the eventuality that something gets leaked, that's just bad all around. It makes everyone at that company look bad. Not just Kris Tyson, not just Mr. Beast, everyone. Because now people are asking the question, well, what else were they doing? Well, if that sort of thing was allowed on the company email, who else was involved? Who else was sending this stuff? So you implicate your coworkers now. Now they're all going to be looked at with a fine-tooth comb. So it's not fair to them. It's not fair to the business. It's and I guess maybe Jimmy had like a soft spot for his friend, and he thought it was just like shit posting, and because truthfully, and if we're going to speak about this in a human way, there are many of us who have family members and stuff that are weird, maybe a little perverted, maybe a little off their rocker a bit, and we sort of ignore it because, you may not want to say that you love them, but you sort of do. You have a closeness to them. You feel loyal to them, and so you don't really want to rat them out. But unfortunately, what you have to understand is that for their own best interest, you have to hold them accountable. You have to hold everyone accountable. And I'm not talking about going and being a hall monitor, but you should have the fortitude to be like, dude, this is not cool. This is not okay. I don't want to ever see this again. Or we're going to have another kind of conversation and you're not going to like it. Like, that's way over the line. And to close things out, for anyone who is stupid enough to compare this to the Dr. Disrespect situation, for anyone who is genuinely low IQ enough to say, oh, God, Kris Tyson and Dr. Disrespect, because I've seen a couple of them. First of all, you're retarded. Just want to put that on the record. There's no comparison. The doc never exchanged pictures that were inappropriate with anyone. And the thing is, I have to reiterate this every time I mention Dr. Disrespect because I know there are a lot of people that have never lived in California and don't understand the environment and the culture in California. But I want you to understand that if Dr. Disrespect did even a fraction of what you freaks accused him of, the DAs in California would be fighting each other in like Mortal Kombat style scenarios to get that case. Because understand, these DAs in California, they look at a promotion the way that a fat kid looks at a piece of cake. They salivate over a case like Dr. Disrespect. You mean to tell me that you got a high profile, in fact, the highest profile case for an online personality, and they've been sexting with a minor and sending like pictures and being inappropriate? Oh my God. Like, that would be their Christmas. Do you understand? A high-profile case like that, they would pull the trigger on that in an instant if there was anything there that they could actually bite onto. It's not even a question. And by the way, if you think, well, maybe Doc got away with it, Doc sued Twitch. So the court in California had access to all of the whispers. You don't think that the DA took a look at that when he heard, hey, Twitch, this multi-billion-dollar company, is being sued by one of their top contenders? You don't think the DA looked at that? You don't think that they were, kind of looking through there to see if there was something? If you don't think that's the case, if you don't think they looked at Twitch being sued by Doc and was salivating over that, you're crazy. You are absolutely crazy. They would have loved that case. Man, that would have been perfect for them. A high-profile case where they can put away a guy that was a quote-unquote pedo? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, if it was as open and shut as you freaks seem to think it is, he would have been charged. I know the legal system in California. I know the type of culture that exists around the DAs and around the attorneys. They would have had an absolute field day. But if there was nothing there, then it would look bad if they did it and then they lost. And lost badly because there was no case. So that's why they didn't pull up a case. Even when the stuff came out recently, they could have pulled it back up, but they didn't. Because most likely they've looked at the whispers and it's not what people are thinking it is. So you can continue to say it, but it doesn't make it any more true. And the more that you try to assert it without evidence, the more that I'm going to make fun of you for being an absolute mongoloid. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for today's video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.